Welcome back to the final module of our course on marshalling and headset operations.
Well, we have been talking about headset and marshalling and signals. But if we think about it, all of this really deals with just one thing: communication.
That is right, Professor. It is of critical importance that the communication between flight deck and ground staff be perfect in order to avoid any incidents or accidents.
Since flight crew and ground support staff are of various nationalities, it is important for each communication to be repeated in order to ensure that there is no miscommunication or misunderstanding.
Let us do a practical demonstration to make this clearer. What do you say, Professor?
That is a good idea, Professor.
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Confirm steering pin inserted.
Steering pin inserted.
Only if parking brake is set. May I release brakes?
Mandatory in any case. Release brakes.
Brakes released. Ready for pushback.
Pushing back.
Ready for engine start.
All engines clear. Once the pushback operation is completed, communication will be as follows. Ground crew instructs the captain to set parking brake.
Parking brake set. Remove towing system and steering pin.
Towing system and steering pin removed.
Give hand signal.
Wait for hand signal on left-hand side. We need to remember that if the signal is to be given from the right-hand side for any reason, then it should be informed to the captain in advance.
The communication in case of tow barless operation is a little different. Should we go through that as well, Professor?
Yes, of course, Professor. This time, the communication starts from the ground staff and he tells the pilot, set parking brake.
Parking brake set.
The tow barless vehicle is connected to the aircraft by removing front wheel chocks, and the wheel of the aircraft is lifted up.
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Confirm steering pin inserted.
Steering pin inserted.
Only if parking brake is set. May I release brakes?
Mandatory in any case. Release parking brakes.
Brakes released. Ready for pushback.
Pushing back.
Ready for engine start.
All engines clear. Once pushback is completed, the headset man asks the pilot to set the parking brake.
The parking brakes are set by the pilot. Pilot will ask the ground staff to remove the towing system and steering pin.
Towing system and steering pin is removed.
Give hand signal.
Wait for hand signal on left-hand side. Instead of giving signal on left-hand side, if the headset man gives signal on right-hand side or at the front of the aircraft, then the pilot should be informed about it before the engine startup. If the aircraft is parked at 45 degrees parking position, then there won't be any pushback operation. The headset man has to give signals just for engine startup.
Ground from cockpit.
The headset man will check if there are any vehicles in equipment restrained area, post which he gives a go-ahead signal.
At cockpit, the signal will be ready for engine start.
The headset man will check if there is any staff standing in jet blast zone, post which he says all engines clear.
Pilot will ask to prepare airplane for taxi and give hand signal.
Wait for hand signal on left-hand side. In this situation also, the headset man should inform the pilot in advance if the signal on right-hand side or at the front of the aircraft is given. You are all aware that the engine starts up with air starter unit and ground power unit. During the engine startup operation, the communication between the pilot and headset man will be
Ground from cockpit.
Go ahead.
Connect external electric.
External electric connected. Before the engines are started, the pilot will give signals to the headset staff.
The pilot will say, ready for engine start.
On receiving the signal, the headset man will check again if the jet blast zone is free of any FOD and ground staff. Post which, he will send the signal as all engines are clear.
Ready for ground air.
Ground air available. On receiving this signal, the pilot will start the engine. The communication will be
Remove external electric.
External electric removed.
Remove ground air.
Ground air removed. The aircraft will then taxi to the runway for takeoff. We have seen the process of pushback and communication. Professor, we should also examine what happens if the procedure is not followed, which happens when there is a mistake in the communication process.
Yes, during one pushback operation, when the aircraft had entered the taxiway, the tow bar connection pin at the front strut of the aircraft was suddenly broken. The pushback operation was immediately stopped.
Later investigation revealed that the pilot had put on the parking brakes in reaction to a fire alert he received from the front compartment of the aircraft. His mistake was that he did not inform the pushback staff, and the result was that they continued pushing back. It was pilot's error and shows us that coordination is a must while stopping pushback for any reason.
Let us take another case where after pushback had started, ATC informed the pilot that he had to stop. The pilot informed the headset staff, who in his excitement told the pilot to set brakes without informing the tow truck driver.
That could have resulted in a major incident, but as it happens, they got off lightly with nothing more serious than a broken shear pin. But this incident definitely tells us that we need to be calm and follow procedure no matter what the situation during pushback. Let us observe one more incidence of miscommunication while pushback. In this case, the signal release brake was not given post receiving pushback signal from the pilot. In this accident, the front strut of an aircraft was broken. This incident tells us that we must listen to the commands carefully. If not understood, ask again until we understand them. Confirm commands mutually. This brings us to the end of the 5th course, Marshalling and Headset, where we have learned marshalling signals and guiding the aircraft to its parking slot, pushback operations with tow bar and tow truck, pushback operations with tow barless tow truck, role of proper communication in preventing accidents and incidents. Thank you.